All right, this is the first of our 4, and I'm choosing the topic of gut health for multiple reasons. One is that there's been quite a topic of discussion on bowel movements, so we're going to kind of dive into that and kind of cover quite a few things on bowel movements and really gut health in general. I just kind of want to show you, basically, this is 30 combined feet of what's called the GI or GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. But it starts with really the mouth. Your carbohydrates start to digest in the mouth, and then you go through the esophagus, which is this little blue part here, and then you hit the yellow part. And then, let's stand up here, I have got tons and tons of feet of intestines. The green all the way down to the last 4 feet of it, which would be the large intestines. Now, the green part is the most crucial when it comes to our health. And I am going to really kind of dive into that and talk about disease prevention, probiotics, how to keep the enzymes going, get the candida or the bad bacteria out, the proper foods, and all that. So I'm going to kind of break it down for you. Maybe this will kind of clear up quite a few things that might be on your mind. Okay, so what exactly causes constipation? There's certain types of medications that can bring it on, such as painkillers or narcotics, especially if you get out of like anesthesia, like post-surgery. Also, blood pressure medicines can do it because it basically will help flush water out of your body. And when you're going to the bathroom a lot, you're peeing a lot, and your bowels aren't really getting what it needs, then that's going to leave a lot of compaction. Of course, antidepressants also play a role in it too. Your brain and your gut play that role with each other. So if your gut's not producing the serotonin, you're going to have to go on antidepressants because your gut health is not good, and the antidepressants can also slow down the gut transition and the digestion. Any extra iron supplementation also causes it, along with low magnesium. And this right here is the biggest one too that hits most people. If you take a little bit of a magnesium supplement, it tends to help. Like milk of magnesia is a good one. Too much dairy can also cause constipation. Also, excess or abuse of laxatives over time actually starts to damage the intestines. Any type of nerve damage, neuropathy type, or even spinal injury where maybe your nerves get pinched because your nerves interact with your muscles that help to push things through. So that's another huge one too. Lack of fiber or raw foods in your diet, lack of water, too much caffeine or alcohol, foods high in fat and sugar, lack of exercise, and of course, if you're doing something totally new, totally different, your gut is not going to be used to that type of style. So it's going to tend to buck the system, so to speak, for a couple days, and you will experience some symptoms of constipation if they're not used to it. So kind of hang in there and keep on, and it'll definitely work. Sometimes you might need to take a little bit of magnesium to help push it on through and get your gut used to the new type of food system. Now, I've been asked, well, how often are you supposed to go to the bathroom? You really need to go 1 to 3 times a day. The goal is 2 to 3 times a day, but some people don't go 2 to 3 times a day. If you can go at least once a day, then that's sufficient. It's definitely better if you go 2, though. Okay, we're going to kind of dive right on in here. There's really 3 different ways that you can actually have a toxin, or it can be toxic to your body. There's oxidative stress, which is basically an imbalance or disruption of your normal mechanisms, and that also includes your free radicals. And I'm sure you've heard of free radicals that they're the ones that are usually tagged with the term cancer-causing. The other one is cellular inflammation, which is very common. We get that a lot. It's when your hormones definitely get out of balance. There's inflammation going on within your body because of the types of foods and different things that you do choose. And then there's glycation, which is basically you have extra sugar molecules in your system, and they tend to bombard your body cells like a meteor type shower. And that causes stiffening and basically making your cells very stiff, and that promotes your aging. So we're going to really dive into the 3 of those that are toxic to the gut, but really pay attention to the glycation and the inflammation. So some external things, external toxins that can definitely be harmful to the gut, that can damage your gut. Now keep in mind, your gut is, your health And your immune system, basically, it comes from 60 to 70% of your gut nutrition. So that plays a massive role. So any external toxins like your environmental pollutants, silver, mercury, any type of lead node paints, poor air quality, contaminated water, smoke around you. Also bisphenol A, which is found in soft plastics, UV radiation, things like that can definitely are external toxins. All right, let's dive into the actual internal toxins. I'm talking about chronic infections like chronic sinusitis, also allergic reactions, immediate and delayed sensitivities, and that could be food related. Most of your common delayed type sensitivity like gluten insensitivity or dairy, eggs, corn, those are very common delayed type sensitivities. Also liver enzymes and an imbalance of those. Medications can be very toxic internally. That's why you want to try to go as natural as possible. I personally try to go for essential oils and vitamins and nutrients before I turn to westernized medicine. Also, long-term use of Tylenol is one of the leading causes of liver failure and prevents liver detoxification. And your proton pump inhibitor, which is basically your acid blockers, they tend to leave subpar digestion and absorption of your vitamins and minerals. So definitely want to try to get off of those as best as you can and really try to limit the foods that promote any types of problems that deal with the acid in your stomach. Of course, toxic so-called behaviors would also be comprised of what you do dietary-wise. That could be skipping meals, or it can be a massive amount at one time. It could be possibly an intake of trans fats or even high fructose corn syrups or processed man-made foods. And that would also include your refined flours. Anything that basically is not grown from the ground or picked from a tree, you really need to question it because it could definitely have chemicals added to it, such as your flours, where it's been bleached. It could have all kinds of preservatives in it to last forever. Another thing to think about too is your stress, and this one actually has hit home with me in the last 6 months. You don't really realize the stress you put under your body, and whether you think you're under stress or not under stress, typically the type A personalities tend to exert more stress on their bodies and they don't realize it because we function best under stress. I know that sounds kind of twisted, but that's just how we're wired. But any extra stress you put on your body definitely hinders your health drastically. The first place it hits and targets is your adrenal glands. The third one there is lack of sleep. If you don't get at least 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep, it actually can be very toxic to your body. It cannot flush out and get rid of the toxins that you do consume that comes in through your gut. So without that sleep, it's very detrimental to your health in way more ways than one. So the goal is to get at least 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep, on up to 9. So what exactly does go on inside the body with a toxin? Well, your cell membranes are actually damaged. Your cells should be perfectly round, and when a toxin comes in and attacks it, it makes it oblong looking type shape. It's no longer round, and that promotes inflammation, oxidation, and glycation, which takes place. And this basically translates into decreased ATP, which is your energy production. It's also your weight gain. That's going to leave you very tired and fatigued. And you definitely want to have that ATP taking place while you're exercising because those WODs require lots of ATP. It also decreases your ability to communicate with the rest of the body by the hormones. So the cell hormone receptors are basically damaged. And once they get damaged, you're going to have a hormone imbalance, which is not so good if you're wanting good metabolic hormone control and you want to speed up the metabolism. Also, the toxins tend to mimic our own hormones, which is found in pesticides, so that can cause reproductive cancers and interfere with normal action of your testosterone, especially in men. And women do have testosterone too, so just want to throw that out there as well. It also leads to an increased risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, Alzheimer's, and so much more. And we're going to kind of dive right on into more of the what exactly is going on within the lining of that intestinal tract. This is a picture of an unhealthy cell versus a healthy cell, and we're going to kind of dive into the intestinal tract and what it looks like. But a healthy cell, the one there in the middle, It should be very round, soft, permeable, easy for waste to get in and out. Nutrients can flow, vitamins and minerals can flow, and you also have little receptors on those cells. And if you can imagine each hormone, like say for instance testosterone or estrogen, each hormone is a very specific shape or key. And on those cells, there are certain keyholes that only fit those specific hormones in those certain areas. So it would come in perfectly if the key fit naturally in the keyhole that it belongs to. But when you have a toxin to come in, it makes the cell very hard, rigid, very difficult for anything to flow in and out. So basically you have toxins that come in, it destroys those keyholes, which makes it very, very difficult for it to receive the type of key or hormone that it's supposed to receive in that naturally shaped keyhole or receptor. Very difficult for nutrients to get in and out. At this point, basically, your cells become very inflamed. So there to the right there you have a picture of an inflamed cell versus a healthy cell. You want it to be round, you want it to be soft and permeable so everything can flow in and out. When you consume these toxins from foods that are not God-made but that are man-made, you start to have these inflamed cells. Now take a look at the bottom left, and that should be what your intestines looks like. You have a normal type intestines, but when you have problems with toxins coming in and destroying your good bacteria and all your healthy cells through your intestines, now keep in mind your gut is basically 50 to 70% of your immune system, okay? So when you have that being destroyed, you're going to have deeper pits. And this is called inflammation, and this is where colitis starts in, your Crohn's disease starts in, lots of intestinal problems. And it can also lead to something called leaky gut, which basically it eats through the cell walls of your intestines. So your food you eat will leak out into your body. Yes, lots of problems there, autoimmune problems. Of course, you can see too that inflammation is the root of diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease, pulmonary diseases, arthritis, autoimmune, and neurological. And some of you might be thinking, well, that's way on down the road for me. Well, you think that, however, it is now. And if you don't prevent now, this will definitely creep up on you very quickly. The one that creeps up the quickest is your diabetes and your neurological and autoimmune. So you definitely want to prevent now. Prevention is the key. Your gut and your brain are very closely tied together. In fact, a lot of depression stems from not the brain, but the serotonin that's produced in the gut. So if you have an unhealthy gut, the depression comes on much, much quicker. Now this is other things that affects the rest of our body, all according to our gut health. So we have poor gut health, we're going to have problems with blurred vision, memory loss, acid reflux, and gastric reflux disease. Your increased risk of breast cancer, back pain, irritable bowel syndrome, increased risk of colon cancer, inflammation, low testosterone in men, unexplained weight gain, and central nervous system disorders, all because of our gut nutrition. Okay, this is why I keep saying over and over, anything from the ground, grown from the ground, or plucked from a tree, this is what you need to stick to, because toxins found in food are like food additives that they put in boxed foods. If you go down the middle aisles of your grocery store, you're going to find everything boxed, such as tetrazine, saccharin, aspartame, Splenda, all kinds of preservatives. So basically, quick fix box, any of your sugar substitutes. Now stevia is okay, but any man-made like fried, pastries, and of course when you start adding things, GMOs, and you start putting preservatives and pesticides on your food that's real food, you really destroy the natural enzymes found in it. You can taste the difference between an ethanol sprayed and grown tomato shipped here from California through the winter, because the winter is not when it's normally grown, so it's going to taste really stiff, hard, and nasty, not a good garden tomato. Of course, that also takes care of any of your white sugar, white flour, processed foods, chemically enhanced foods, artificial ingredients, and of course your dyes. Any of your dyes. In fact, there have been some dyes that shown that it actually increases ADD and ADHD. So stick to real, stick to God-made food. Okay, I want to show you. I bought this McDonald's hamburger January 14th of 2009. It's 6 years ago. 6 years ago in 2 days. It has yet to mold. Yet to mold. It looks like it's been handled very well. it's slowly been scraping itself of little crumbs through the years. And the hamburger meat has actually broken into now 3 different pieces, it looks like. It's just starting to crumble because it's been handled so much. Real food molds. And if you put a piece of food out on the countertop, it's going to eventually mold and melt, or not melt, but get icky stuff on it, slime or whatever it is. If you have real God-made food, it's going to actually break down. And the reason why, there's something in real food called enzymes. These enzymes are made to interact with our gut nutrition. So we want to try to consume God-made foods to help react with how our gut is made to break down and digest, so that you can pull out vitamins and minerals to disperse it evenly throughout your body. This is what's going to keep your hormones balanced, your metabolism going. You're going to have the energy. It's going to keep all of your organs working the way God had designed them to function. when we start consuming these foods, and I'm calling this petrified foods because there's so much preservatives and junk put in it that basically there's no nutritious value to it whatsoever. It's loaded full of calories, and that's why we gain weight. But in a really weird way, but it's true, we become malnourished yet obese because our body craves vitamins and minerals. It doesn't crave the calories. It actually has to have the vitamins and minerals to function off of. And it has to have those working receptors within each cell to function off of. So I'm just picking on McDonald's here, but there's also other ones too. This is Burger King, okay? Same thing, burger, fry, and nothing has molded. And I bought that one 2 years after I purchased the McDonald's one. So it's 4 years old. Same thing with, this one is Hardee's burger and fry. Same thing. Nothing's melted. And all I did was put this in a, it's an old like strawberry container that I bought strawberries from at the grocery store. And Taco Bell. It is the chicken and the beef soft taco. Hard as a rock, but yet crumbled. All of that's crumbled underneath there. None of it's molded. You really want to try to consume foods in its most natural form as possible so that it does mold, so to speak. You want to buy foods that mold and foods that go bad so that you actually do have to go to the grocery store 1 or 2 times a week to buy something that's fresh. And a good general rule of thumb, you want to make sure you get plenty of raw as much as possible. If it's not best when it's raw, lightly cook it or lightly steam it. Bake it. Broil it if you have to. I would try to avoid boiling it if at all possible, because if you notice, some of the coloration comes out in the water, and what happens is that is your vitamins and minerals that really could benefit your body. So if you're going to use that in the form of a vegetable soup, great, that's perfect. But if you're going to just ditch it out like most people do, you have poured out a ton of your vitamins and minerals. Sometimes if I do boil anything, I will put it actually in my smoothie so that at least I get some vitamins and minerals packed in my smoothie or whatever drink I'm going to consume at that time. So eat real food, things that mold, enzymes that actually help break down. If you don't eat real food, if you haven't eaten real food in a long time, you can actually purchase digestive enzymes at the local health food store. And I would suggest you doing that for a month to help in preparation and basically repairing the gut while you're taking a good old probiotic or you're correcting your food intake and things like that. Now, let's talk about probiotics. I have actually brought, if I can dig it out of my little gut system here, I use a Young Living brand of probiotics, and I've also used this one in the past called Kirkleman, and I've got this one at the local health food store. You want a high amount of CFUs, and I'm not talking milligrams, I'm talking CFUs. This one is the one I take when I'm going out of the country for a mission trip. So I want to prep my gut at least 2, if not 3 or 4 weeks before I go, because I'm going to be exposed to a lot of parasites and stuff that I really don't want to come back with it, and I really don't want to have a tummy ache. And luckily, the 3 mission trips I've been on, I have taken this and I've not gotten sick. Knock on wood, I have not gotten sick at all with the stomach stuff, whereas most of the people that go with me end up getting it. So you really want to get the gut going. You want to keep it clean. You want to keep it healthy. You want to make sure you fuel it with the right fuel. You want to keep those natural bacteria in there healthy and growing, because you're going to experience something called candida that grows, and it basically kills all of the good bacteria. So you want to fight that off. There's several probiotics out on the market. Most of them target gut health. Some of them target respiratory health, and some of them target both of them. But most of them you're going to find targets mostly your gut health, because that's where most of your diseases really start from, is the gut. So I would highly recommend you take a probiotic. You can also drink probiotics. There is a brand out called Lifeway that makes a milk type kefir, and it's okay. It's a little bit better than yogurt, but you don't get a lot in there. It's just kind of a really low, mild dosage. If you make your own homemade milk kefir, that is a really high dosage. If you are interested in getting started, talk to me about it. I've got links on my Wild Weight Lifestyle Facebook page on how to make that as well, and I can give you some starter grains. And there's something else too called kombucha. that you can get. I actually purchased this kombucha at a local health food store, drank it, and then I made my own kombucha at home. And again, if you want to get started on that, I'd love to help you get started. The starter is called a SCOBY. So I'd love to help you get started on that as well. You can also consume fermented foods that helps to replace the probiotics in your gut. And I've gotten quite a few of those at the local Good Measures market. Any of those is great to consume just to keep the gut healthy and going strong. Okay, let's break down McDonald's. I'm picking on McDonald's today. A McDonald's so-called real eggs in an Egg McMuffin are actually prepared with the following. It's liquid margarine, liquid soybean oil, and hydrogenated cottonseed and soybean oil. It's water, partially hydrogenated soybean oils. Okay, so far we're doing nothing but hydrogenation, which makes our arteries very, very stiff, and it's been outlawed in quite a few countries. Water, salt, soy lecithin, mono and diglycerides, sodium benzoate, and potassium sorbate, which are preservatives, artificial flavors, citric acid, vitamin A, and beta-carotene, which is for color. Okay, what in there can you pick from a tree and grow from a ground that has not been manipulated by man? Now look at your chicken McNuggets. It actually has made the mainstream because of the potentially hazardous additives that they do contain. Your soda, it has high fructose corn syrup in it. Okay, that basically it's benzene and aspartame, which is also has derivatives of formaldehyde, which is what you basically use for embalming fluid. Your French fries are loaded with the worst types of fats, which are genetically modified omega-6 oils, which causes all kinds of inflammation within your arteries and in your cells. And those omega-6 oils would be like your corn oil, canola oil, and your soybean oils. So breakfast cereals are a little bit more than disguised forms of basically high fructose corn syrups, and many are actually loaded with genetically engineered grains, or your GMOs. Okay, you can Google up anti-inflammatory diet or anti-inflammatory foods, and what you'll probably get are images very much like this, where you have a pH scale of 0 to about a 14. Your blood is around a 6.8. 7 is considered neutral. You're going to find water between a 6.5 and a 7 or 8. Anything below a 7 or really below a 6.5 is considered acidic. Anything above that is considered alkaline. Now, another word for acidic is inflammation. Okay, that is basically sugar, man-made foods, processed foods, everything that's going to last a long time. It's the petrified food I just showed you from fast foods. That type of thing brings about inflammation within your arteries, inflammation in your joints, inflammation with your tissues. All of that inflammation also suppresses your immune system. It brings about diabetes, heart disease, and feeds cancer cells. And we all have cancer cells in our body, but we want to try to prevent from feeding it. Anything above that is considered alkaline. So, alkaline, or anti-inflammatory, helps to fight off what everything on the lower end does. Now, general rule of thumb, if you want to have a freedom meal, and I'm not going to call it a cheat meal, but a freedom meal, and you want to have something that's on the acidic end, it's very important you try to counteract that with something on the alkaline. Now, I'm not talking having a Diet Coke because you're eating a candy bar, because all of that is acidic. I am talking you want to try to consume as much fresh as possible on the alkaline side to fight that off. And there have been a lot of people eating the Whole30 or alkaline type foods that have lost a ton of weight just by avoiding any types of foods that cause inflammation within the body. And you can tell when it causes inflammation, it shuts everything down, from the cells to the tissues to the organs to the gut. So, God has His own pharmacy. Basically, He separated the salt water from the fresh. He made the dry land. He planted a garden. He made the animals and fish, all before making us humans. He made and provided what we actually needed before we were born. These are the best and most powerful when we eat it raw, lightly steamed, slowly baked, still with a crunch as much as you can. But we're real slow learners. God left us a lot of clues as to what foods He wants for our body. A sliced carrot looks just like the human eye. The pupil iris and the radiating lines look just like the outlines of the eye. And yes, science now shows that carrots greatly enhance the blood flow to and from the function of the eyes. A tomato has 4 chambers and it is red. And the heart has 4 chambers and it is red. And of course, tomatoes are loaded in something called lycopene. Lycopene is medicine for the heart. Grapes hang in clusters that is the shape of the heart, and each grape looks just like a little blood cell. And all of the research shows that grapes are profound for your heart and blood vitalizing food, loaded in something called resveratrol. A walnut looks just like a little brain, a left and right hemisphere, upper and lower cerebrums, and even the wrinkles or folds in the nut are just like the neocortex of your brain. We now know that walnuts, along with virgin coconut oil, help develop more than 3 dozen neuron transmitters for brain function. So if you got Alzheimer's disease or dementia running in your family, eat up on walnuts and virgin coconut oil. Your avocados, eggplants, and pears are all shaped very similar to the female organs. And it takes about 9 months for a baby, 9 months to grow an avocado. Don't you just love God's sense of humor? So in conclusion, really, just eat God-made foods, grown from the ground, picked from a tree. Toxins are found in foods that are processed, they're non-organic, they're boxed, they're found in the middle aisles of your grocery store. If there are any ingredients you can't pronounce, then you probably need to avoid it. And usually if there's more than 5 or more ingredients that's listed in the ingredients list, more than likely it's got a very long extended shelf life. Toxins bring on all kinds of common diseases due to inflammation, oxidation, and glycation, and that causes all kinds of damage to our cells. So if you're wanting to get the most out of your health, the most out of your workout, and be the best physically fit person, healthy person that you can be, eat real food, exercise daily, do try to eat as much whole God-made foods as possible. Okay, that much wraps it up for the end of gut health. If you are having any problems, just kind of bear with it. It's going to work its way out. Guarantee you, literally, you might just need to take a little bit of that magnesium. But really, gut health is so important, and I cannot stress that enough. That's usually what I dive into when it comes to weight loss. I'm looking at your hormones, your toxin consumption, and of course, gut health. Make sure you drink your water to flush out those toxins. Fuel up your gut. It's about what we eat. Really, food should be our medicine. Have a good one. I know you can do this.